What I actually said to Denzel was, "You're that brilliant young actor just out of Fordham University."
In the uncompromising world of Hollywood, Denzel Washington is the undisputed gold standard, a titan of iron discipline, dignity, and absolute respect for the craft. However, even living legends have their limits. When professional boundaries are blurred or respect is traded for gimmicks, Denzel doesn't just get even, he cuts ties. Today, we're unmasking the co-stars and creators who learned the hard way never to cross the king. In this industry, you have to know when to listen and when to follow the rules, because crossing Denzel can mean making a lifelong enemy. 1. Will Smith, the fallen protege. For decades, Denzel Washington was the quiet architect of Will Smith's career, acting as a spiritual guide and mentor to help him carry the heavy burden of Hollywood stardom. They shared a deep bond rooted in faith and discipline. But the celebration of that bond shattered in a single second at the 2022 Oscars. The world watched in utter disbelief as Will Smith walked onto the stage and struck Chris Rock across the face. When Smith returned to his seat and continued shouting, a heavy, uncomfortable silence paralyzed the room. Denzel was the first person to move toward the fire. During the commercial break, he pulled a shaken Will aside to pray with him. Later that night, when Smith accepted his Best Actor award, he shared Denzel's backstage warning, "At your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you. At your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." Denzel Washington. While Denzel offered immediate spiritual support, he carried a profound sense of professional disappointment. He had spent 40 years building a legacy of dignity for black actors, believing that public conduct is just as important as the performance on camera. Despite his disappointment, Denzel refused to join the public lynch mob, later urging empathy by reminding the public, "By the grace of God go any of us." Still, as the industry looks at the fallout, Denzel's ongoing silence regarding Will's subsequent comeback attempts speaks volumes. He proved that you can love a brother while completely rejecting his actions. 2. Quentin Tarantino, a long feud. Denzel Washington has never been afraid to speak his mind, even if it means clashing with the most powerful visionaries in cinema. This was never more evident than during his mid-90s feud with Quentin Tarantino. In 1995, Tarantino was brought in as a script doctor to polish the dialogue for the submarine thriller Crimson Tide. When Denzel read the new pages, he noticed several racially charged jokes and references that he felt had no place in the film. Rather than sending an agent or waiting for a private meeting, Denzel walked directly onto the set and confronted Tarantino in front of the entire cast and crew. Witnesses recalled the air turning ice cold as Denzel made it fiercely clear that he found the additions offensive. This wasn't a minor creative disagreement, it was a battle over the integrity of the story and the message it sent to the audience. That explosive confrontation sparked a silent feud that lasted for over a decade, with both men actively avoiding each other. The ice finally melted years later when Denzel's daughter, Katia, worked as a production assistant on Tarantino's Django Unchained. The family connection forced the two titans to sit down, address the elephant in the room, and finally bury the hatchet. 3. Tyrese Gibson, the gatekeeper accusation. Tyrese Gibson has always worn his heart on his sleeve, and for years, he publicly praised Denzel Washington as his ultimate blueprint for success, openly seeking him out as a mentor. However, the relationship took a sharp, destructive turn in 2015. Tyrese took to Instagram to air a series of passionate grievances, claiming that the elite black actors at the top of Hollywood were acting as gatekeepers, closing the door behind them and failing to mentor the next generation. Though he didn't call out Denzel by name, the industry knew exactly who the message was aimed at. The problem? Tyrese's narrative completely contradicted reality. Denzel is a prolific mentor, but he operates in total privacy, never using his charity for PR points. He famously, quietly paid for a young Chadwick Boseman to attend a prestigious acting program at Oxford and has poured millions into funding schools for young artists. By airing his complaints on social media, Tyrese broke a sacred code of silence and discretion. In Denzel's world, you do not criticize the king publicly and expect a seat at his table. True to form, Denzel responded with absolute silence, refusing to grant the drama any oxygen. The bridge was completely burned, leaving Tyrese permanently on the outside of Denzel's professional circle. 4. Mark Wahlberg, the chaos of improv. Mark Wahlberg is famous for his loose, fast-talking, high-energy style. He loves to show up, catch the vibe of the room, and play around with his lines to keep things spontaneous. But when he was paired with Denzel for the 2013 action flick Two Guns, this loose approach crashed into a wall of discipline. Denzel treats a script like holy scripture. He spends weeks analyzing every word and punctuation mark, believing that altering a writer's work weakens the narrative structure. Wahlberg, conversely, treated the script as a loose guide. Once filming began, friction sparked instantly. Wahlberg tried to use his quick wit to dominate scenes, throwing in unscripted jokes and shifting tempos to catch Denzel off guard. Denzel didn't see this as creativity, he saw it as a total lack of preparation. The tension was palpable. Wahlberg later admitted that Denzel would frequently stop, look at him, and ask, "Did you really just say that?" Wahlberg realized very quickly that he couldn't coast on charm next to a master. While their on-screen chemistry looked like fun, insiders reveal it was entirely forced by behind-the-scenes stress. Tellingly, despite the film's commercial success, a sequel was never made, proving the professional rift ran deeper than anyone let on. 5. Jared Leto, the Method Mania. The name Jared Leto usually comes with a lot of baggage. Known for extreme method acting, Leto frequently stays in character for months, a habit that has historically involved sending bizarre or gross gifts to co-stars. While some view this as genius, Denzel Washington views it as a circus. In 2021, the two collided in the crime thriller The Little Things. Denzel played a burned-out deputy, while Leto played a creepy prime suspect. Behind the scenes, the industry braced for impact, wondering if Leto would try his usual antics on a legend. He didn't. Denzel later dryly noted to reporters that Leto didn't try any of those stunts with him, a subtle revelation that Leto's method acting is a choice reserved only for those he can intimidate. Denzel practices internalization, he does the emotional work in his head and flips the switch the moment the camera rolls. To him, needing to act crazy off camera isn't dedication, it's a crutch. This philosophical divide created a frosty, distant atmosphere. Denzel believes acting is a disciplined job meant to connect with the audience, not make your coworkers uncomfortable. During promotion, the lack of warmth between them was glaring. Denzel delivered a grounded, authentic performance, while Leto focused on a spectacle, reinforcing Denzel's belief that true craft comes from within, not from theatrical gimmicks. 6. Liev Schreiber, the disliked one. Liev Schreiber is not easily intimidated. With a voice like Rolling Thunder and a commanding theater background, the Ray Donovan star is a Hollywood heavyweight. However, back in 1999, a young Schreiber landed a role opposite Denzel in The Hurricane, the powerful biographical film about wrongfully imprisoned boxer Reuben Carter. Working with an idol can go one of two ways, it's either a masterclass or a total disaster. For Liev, it felt like the latter. Denzel had undergone a massive physical and mental transformation to become Carter, locking himself into a zone of intense isolation. The charming, friendly Denzel was nowhere to be found. Instead, Liev was met with a quiet, tetchy, and fiercely distant co-star. Every time Liev tried to strike up a conversation between takes, he hit a brick wall of dismissive energy. For months, Schreiber walked on eggshells, utterly convinced that the biggest actor in Hollywood genuinely hated him. This haunting anxiety lingered for years, leaving Liev to assume he had broken some unwritten rule of set etiquette. The truth finally surfaced 5 years later during casting for the 2004 thriller The Manchurian Candidate. The director needed an actor who could stand toe-to-toe with Denzel's legendary intensity. Without hesitation, Denzel personally demanded Liev Schreiber for the role. He hadn't hated Liev at all, he had been so deeply impressed by Schreiber's talent and resilience under pressure that he specifically requested him as a partner. What Liev mistook for hatred was actually the ultimate form of professional respect. The "Listen to Me" incident with Ellen Pompeo. Perhaps the most shocking confrontation of all didn't even happen on a movie set. In 2016, Denzel stepped behind the camera to direct a highly anticipated episode of Grey's Anatomy titled The Sound of Silence, doing so as a personal favor to producer Debbie Allen. The star of the show, Ellen Pompeo, was used to being the undisputed boss of her set. During a highly emotional scene where her character confronts a patient who attacked her, Pompeo felt the guest actor wasn't giving her enough energy. On instinct, she broke script and screamed an improvised line at him, "Look at me when you apologize." To Pompeo, it was a creative spark. To Denzel, it was a blatant violation of the chain of command. He immediately stepped in, fiercely reprimanding her for changing the dialogue without his permission, making it clear that he was the director. An explosive, full-blown screaming match erupted in front of the entire crew. Pompeo furiously fired back, shouting, "This is my show, I've been here from the beginning." But Denzel didn't care about her longevity or the size of her trailer, he expected absolute discipline and respect for the script. Pompeo later recounted the fight on her podcast with a mix of lingering frustration and awe, calling it one of the most intense days of her career. For Denzel, the incident seemed to permanently sour his view of the medium. He has never returned to direct television since, bewildered by an environment where actors are permitted to override a director's vision. The code of Denzel Washington is simple: respect is the only currency he accepts. Hollywood thrives on drama and celebrity power plays, but Denzel thrives strictly on excellence and discipline. If you cannot respect the process, you simply do not belong in his circle. Which of these legendary clashes surprised you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For more deep dives into Hollywood's untold stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Prestige Buzz, and hit that bell notification so you never miss an update. Turn your eyes to the screen and tap on the next video to keep watching.